Okay, so picture this. A really serene English country estate. Sunlight, old trees, grand house, gardens, the works.
Looks perfect.
Totally perfect. And the family seems, well, just bound by affection. Everything looks completely tranquil, almost out of a painting.
And then, bang, an anonymous letter arrives.
Exactly. And it's not just any letter. It's crudely written, badly spelled, on this cheap pink paper. Just feels off.
It's like a little bomb, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shattering that peaceful image.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it kicks off this chain of events, leads to two mysterious deaths, and then this incredibly dramatic murder trial. It's quite something.
What's really fascinating here, I think, is how fast those first ideas about, affection and family ties just get completely flipped. Appearances, as we're definitely going to see in this deep dive, can be so deceiving.
And so today, yeah, we're peeling back all those layers. It's a classic whodunit, really. We're going to explore the hidden histories, these unexpected desires, and just the sheer messiness of, well, human relationships and how they can unravel what looks like a straightforward case. Our material is from this really gripping narrative that just lays bare all the complex stuff going on within that supposedly perfect family. And trust me, there are twists you just won't see coming.
So our mission really is to untangle this whole web. Events, motivations, the shocking reveals. We want to get beyond just what happened, to understand why it happened, and hopefully uncover a truth that's, well, much more astonishing than what everyone thought at first.
Definitely. So buckle up.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that unsettling setup, the story really gets going with Elinor Carlisle. She's the one who gets this bizarre anonymous letter.
Right, the pink paper, the bad spelling.
Yeah. It warns her that someone is sucking up to your aunt, and that Elinor and the young gentleman, who we figure out pretty quick is Roddy Wellman, her fiancé, they might get cut out of everything. And the letter calls this person very artful. I mean, what kind of warning is that?
It's designed to cause trouble, isn't it? Right from the start. So suspicious.
Totally. And Elinor and Roddy, well, they react just like you'd expect, a mix of concern, maybe, but also self-interest.
Oh, definitely self-interest. They don't waste any time. They immediately decide this someone must be Mary Gerrard.
Mary Gerrard. Now, she's the daughter of the lodge keeper, so seemingly, different social standing.
Right. But the key thing is their wealthy Aunt Laura, Mrs. Wellman, she's always had this real soft spot for Mary. She paid for her schooling, piano, French lessons.
Basically gave her an education way above her station.
Exactly. Transformed her.
Which, kind of ironically, creates a whole new set of problems for Mary. This education makes her very nice-looking and ladylike, but it causes this really bitter rift with her own father, Mr. Gerrard. He apparently jeers at her schooling and her fine ways.
That's harsh.
It gets worse. Later, he even claims she's no daughter of mine. It's actually quite tragic, this breakdown, just because she tried to better herself.
It really is. And it hints at those kinds of hidden resentments bubbling away, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To really get why this letter hits so hard, you need to understand the money involved.
Right, the inheritance.
Aunt Laura is incredibly wealthy, an heiress herself, plus she inherited from her late husband, Uncle Henry, massive fortune.
And she's always led Elinor, her actual niece, and Roddy, who's her late husband's nephew.
So not a blood relative of Laura's.
Right. She's led them both to believe they're her only family, basically, and they'd inherit everything.
The whole lot.
And Elinor and Roddy, they absolutely need this money. They admit they live pretty extravagantly. And Roddy is very open about his future expectations from Aunt Laura.
He's counting on it.
So this letter arrives, plus they hear Aunt Laura's had a stroke.
What does they do?
They decide to rush down to Hunterbury.
Their stated reason: to protect our interests and because we're fond of the old dear.
That combination says it all, doesn't it? Affection, maybe, but ambition is right there alongside it. It really speaks volumes. Okay, so Elinor and Roddy arrive at Hunterbury, and pretty much straight away you start seeing the real dynamics, the complexities, especially through the staff.
Yeah, the nurses are key here. There's Nurse O'Brien. She's cheerful, Irish, strong brogue. And then Nurse Hopkins, the brisk, middle-aged district nurse, very no-nonsense.
And their chats are quite revealing.
Very. Nurse O'Brien mentions that Aunt Laura actually prefers Mary Gerrard reading to her, not Nurse O'Brien herself.
Ouch. That's a bit of a slight.
And Nurse Hopkins, well, she's quite blunt. She notes Mary's looks are, better than Elinor's.
Small things. Maybe seems like gossip, but it paints this picture, doesn't it? Yeah. Simmering tensions, little rivalries.
Absolutely. Those little comparisons that can really fester. And then Nurse O'Brien drops something else, something intriguing.
Oh, yeah.
She mentions this time when Mrs. Wellman, the aunt, asked for a photo of a man named Lewis in a silver frame. Called him by name.
Lewis, not Henry, her late husband.
Nope, not Henry. It's our first little hint of a secret past. A hidden romance, maybe? Something Mrs. Wellman's kept quiet for decades.
Interesting. File that away.
Definitely. Meanwhile, Mary Gerrard herself, she's got her own worries. She really wants independence, wants to earn her own living, feels it's a waste of everything if she doesn't use her education.
And she talks about her father again, right? His jibing about her being a fine lady, accusing her of being lazy.
Yeah, she's really caught in the middle, isn't she? Wanting to move up, but getting pulled back by her own family. It's a tough spot.
And Aunt Laura. How does she treat Mary?
She seems genuinely fond of her. Tells her straight out, you're quite like a daughter to me.
Wow.
Yeah. And she assures Mary she'll provide for her future, make sure she's independent, but asks her to be patient. Why? Because it means too much to me to have you here.
So Aunt Laura needs her there, but there's also this darker side to Mrs. Wellman's state, isn't there?
Yes, she talks about her suffering. She even jokes darkly with Dr. Lord about wanting him to, well, end her life because of the indignity of her illness.
Which is, well, that's significant given what happens later.
Oh,
Could be misinterpreted.
Or exploited, exactly. It adds another layer of ambiguity.
Okay, so things are already tense.
Mm-hmm.
Then comes this huge shift. Roddy.
Ah, Roddy.
He always seemed to admire Eleanor's cool, aloof, untouchable style, saw their engagement as perfect enough and not too much love, practical almost.
Sensible.
Then he has this encounter with Mary Gerrard
Mm-hmm.
in the woods. It's dramatic.
Completely changes him. Instantly, he's gripped, feels like the world's spinning, gloriously crazy.
Yeah, it's not just attraction, it's like, boom, total infatuation.
Almost primal, yeah.
Yeah.
And crucially, Eleanor sees this. She witnesses this unsettling moment between her fiancé and Mary.
Which just sets the stage perfectly for heartbreak, betrayal, everything that follows.
It absolutely does. That kind of sudden, powerful attraction. It can derail everything. And it does. The scene is now set for, well, tragedy.
Aunt Laura suffers a second stroke, much more severe this time.
Right. And she's trying desperately to communicate something important to Dr. Lord and Eleanor.
What is it?
She keeps indicating her lawyer, Mr. Seddon, and she's trying to say she needs to make provision for Mary Gerrard in her will.
Ah, so she was planning to provide for Mary officially.
It seems so. And Eleanor assures her, yes, your wishes will be carried out. Trying to be dutiful, maybe?
But the twist.
The cruelest twist. Mrs. Wellman dies in her sleep. And the crucial part, she dies intestate.
Meaning no valid will.
Exactly. And the lawyer, Mr. Seddon, confirms the legal reality. All her property, the entire huge fortune, passes solely to Elinor Carlisle as the blood niece.
Wow. So Roddy gets nothing.
Nothing legally. He's only related by marriage.
And Mary Gerrard, despite Aunt Laura's intentions.
Gets nothing. Because there's no will saying otherwise. What an absolute shocker for everyone involved.
It just flips everything upside down, doesn't it? The power balance shifts completely.
Instantly. And the consequences are immediate. Roddy, who's clearly reeling from this inheritance news, finally confesses to Eleanor about Mary, his enchantment, his madness.
How does Eleanor take it?
She maintains this incredibly cool exterior, hears him out, then breaks off their engagement, tells him to go abroad, sort himself out.
Cold, but maybe understandable.
Perhaps. But it's right at this moment we get that chilling glimpse into her thoughts. If Mary wasn't there.
Ooh, that's dark. The timing is just...
It really is. And almost immediately after this, another worrying detail emerges. Nurse Hopkins realizes a tube of morphine hydrochloride is missing from her medical bag.
The one she left in the hall at Hunterbury overnight.
That's the one. Now, she later tries to rationalize it, says, oh, she must have left it at home. But crucially, she did tell Nurse O'Brien it was missing at the time.
Another small detail, but potentially huge. Especially now there's been a death and a broken engagement.
Exactly. It's the kind of thing that screams, pay attention in a story like this. Then things get even more complicated. Eleanor decides to honor Aunt Laura's wishes, sort of.
Oh.
She arranges for £2,000 to be settled on Mary Gerrard for her massage training. A generous gesture on the surface.
Okay. And around the same time, Mary makes a will.
Yes. Prompted by Nurse Hopkins, interestingly enough, Mary makes a will leaving her money, which, at this point, is just the £2,000 from Eleanor, presumably to Mary Riley, sister of Eliza Riley.
Her aunt in New Zealand.
Right, and she specifically states she does not want her father to inherit anything.
Given their relationship, that makes sense. But then Eleanor's reaction.
Ah, yes. Elinor sees Mary making this will at Nurse Hopkins's cottage, and she laughs, this strange laugh, almost hysterical, and says, "That's funny, that's very funny."
That is not a normal reaction.
Not at all. Dr. Lord is there, he notices it, and it really worries him. It definitely makes you wonder what's going on inside Eleanor's head. What dark thoughts are bubbling up?
It's deeply unsettling and sets up the final act.
It really does. The final fatal day arrives, July 27th. Elinor is at Hunterbury preparing sandwiches and tea.
Okay.
Mary Gerrard has a sandwich. She has some tea. Shortly after, she's found in the morning room, in a deep coma.
Oh, no.
Nurse Hopkins finds her, immediately suspects poisoning, calls Dr. Lord. But it's too late. Mary dies soon after.
So now we have 2 deaths, and Elinor looks, well, she looks incredibly guilty, doesn't she? Motive, opportunity, that strange behavior.
She's the obvious suspect. The stage is perfectly set for a murder trial. And that's where Hercule Poirot steps in.
Right, the famous detective. Who brings him in?
Dr. Lord, actually. Even though he's not sure if Elinor is innocent, he asks Poirot to investigate. Maybe, the story suggests, because he has his own unspoken feelings for Elinor.
Ah, another layer of personal connection. Classic setup for Poirot, isn't it? When the obvious answer just feels wrong somehow.
It absolutely is. And Poirot, well, he gets straight to work. First big move, he reveals Mrs. Wellman's body is going to be exhumed to check for poison. And sure enough, he confirms morphine poisoning in Aunt Laura's case, too.
So both deaths involved morphine.
It seems so. And Dr. Lord then admits something crucial. Mrs. Wellman had asked him to finish her off. He confesses he initially suspected suicide, or maybe assisted suicide, out of compassion.
So Aunt Laura's death might not have been murder by Elinor at all. It throws that first death into a whole new light, much more ambiguous.
Totally complicates the prosecution's case against Elinor regarding her aunt, doesn't it?
Right.
What Poirot does brilliantly next is gather all these conflicting views of Mary Gerrard.
Right, you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, Ted Bigland, this local lad who liked her, calls her like a flower, innocent, lovely.
But the housekeeper?
Mrs. Bishop, totally different story, calls Mary artful, says she was worming her way into Mrs. Wellman's affections. Bishop even calls Mary's death a mercy in disguise because she was scared Aunt Laura would leave Mary all the money.
Wow. Just shows how subjective everything is, doesn't it? Same person, totally different descriptions.
Exactly. Whose view do you trust? Whose is colored by their own bias or self-interest? Poirot also talks to Roddy.
And Roddy, still lovesick.
Not anymore, interestingly. He now calls his infatuation with Mary a dream, a madness. Admits he doesn't really miss her now. It's quite detached.
Fickle?
Maybe. But crucially, Poirot confirms Roddy was definitely abroad from July 9th to August 1st.
Meaning he has an alibi for Mary's death on July 27th.
Solid alibi. Removes him as a suspect for that death, anyway.
Okay, so Roddy's out, but then Poirot uncovers something that really changes the game for Eleanor's potential motive regarding her aunt.
What's that?
He finds out Elinor made a will after Aunt Laura died, and in that will, she left everything she'd just inherited to Roddy.
No way. So the prosecution's idea that she killed her aunt for the money
Doesn't really hold up, does it? If she was just going to give it away to the man who just jilted her, it muddies the waters around the gain motive considerably.
That's a huge discovery. And what about the anonymous letter?
Poirot starts thinking differently about that, too. Maybe not a servant trying to cause trouble. Maybe someone educated, deliberately disguising their handwriting.
Misdirection again. Classic.
Exactly. If Elinor wasn't motivated purely by gain, then what was going on? And then another piece of the puzzle, a really vital sighting.
Go on.
Horlick, the gardener, he testifies he saw a car parked outside the back gate at Hunterbury on the morning Mary died.
What kind of car?
Pretty common one. A Ford 10 Sea Green. He even got the registration. MSS 2022.
Okay. Was it Dr. Lord's car?
Nope. Dr. Lord confirms it wasn't his, and he was somewhere else entirely, which means...
Someone else was there, watching the house. An unknown third party on the day of the murder. That opens things right up.
It really does. But the most intense part, psychologically, is Eleanor's own confession to Poirot.
What does she admit?
She admits that, yes, when she saw Mary making that will, the thought of Mary dying struck her as funny, even convenient. She admits she felt black hate. Even thought about Elinor of Aquitaine, poison, dark stuff.
So she confesses to having the thoughts, the intent almost.
Yes, but then she says something changed. While she was washing dishes in the pantry, just before Mary collapsed, she had this sudden memory. Happy childhood times with Roddy, and it just broke the hate. She says she suddenly didn't want her to die anymore,
A complete change of heart.
right before Mary died. But Mary still died. So Elinor had the thoughts, maybe even the means with that missing morphine, but claims she pulled back at the last second. It shifts the focus, doesn't it?
Yeah.
From who wanted her dead to who actually did it.
And the courtroom is where it all comes crashing down. Huge revelations, one after another.
Okay, lay it on us. What happens?
Remember that label fragment found under the pantry sink? Police assumed it was from the missing morphine tube.
Makes sense.
But the expert analyst, Mr. Wargrave, takes the stand. He says conclusively no, it's from apomorphine hydrochloride.
Upper-morphine. What's
That's
that?
a powerful emetic, causes violent vomiting, instantly.
Okay. Why is that label under the sink? And how is it different from morphine?
The spelling on the label is key. Apomorphine has a small m, but the significance is massive. It's not just a technicality, it's the absolute key to the whole thing.
How so? What does apomorphine let the killer do?
Think about it. If you give someone poison, say, in a sandwich or tea, how do you avoid getting poisoned yourself if you share the meal to look innocent?
You don't eat it.
Or you eat it, but then you immediately take something that makes you throw it all up before it can harm you, like apomorphine.
Whoa. So the killer could share the poisoned food,
Appear completely innocent, sharing the danger.
then secretly take the apomorphine, expel the poison.
While the victim, who didn't take the emetic, absorbs the full dose and dies. It's ingenious, cold-blooded, but brilliant forensic planning.
That is diabolical. So who had access to both morphine and apomorphine and a reason to use them like this?
Well, before we get to that, bombshell number 2 drops in court, Nurse Hopkins.
What about her?
2 witnesses arrive from New Zealand. They identify Nurse Jessie Hopkins as actually being someone called Mary Riley, or Mary Draper, a former hospital nurse from Auckland.
She's been using a fake name.
Apparently so. And the moment she's identified, she bolts, flees the courtroom, which pretty much confirms her deception.
Okay, so Nurse Hopkins isn't who she says she is. How does that connect?
Connects perfectly when Poirot reveals the biggest secret of all, Mary Gerrard, the lodgekeeper's daughter.
Yeah.
She was the illegitimate daughter of Mrs. Wellman and Sir Lewis Rycroft.
Get out! Sir Lewis, the man in the photograph.
The very same. Poirot found evidence, including a hidden letter from Mary's biological mother, Eliza Riley, who, remember, had a sister also named Mary Riley.
Which is Nurse Hopkins' real name, or one of them.
Exactly, and this letter was found by Nurse Hopkins herself, so she knew.
Knew what?
That Mary Gerrard, as Mrs. Wellman's direct blood relative, her daughter, was actually her true next of kin.
So when Mrs. Wellman died intestates, without a will.
The entire £200,000 fortune didn't legally go to Elinor. It unknowingly went to Mary Gerrard.
Oh my goodness. Mary inherited everything without even knowing it. The ultimate hidden truth.
Precisely. And suddenly, Nurse Hopkins's motive becomes crystal clear and utterly treacherous.
Explain.
Nurse Hopkins, Mary Riley Draper, knew Mary Gerrard had just inherited this massive fortune. She encouraged Mary to make that will.
The will leaving everything to Mary Riley, sister of Eliza Riley.
Which is Nurse Hopkins's own family name, essentially leaving the fortune to her family, likely meaning herself.
So she knew Mary was rich, got her to make a will in her favor.
And then killed her to get the money. As a nurse, she had easy access to both morphine for the murder and apomorphine for her own protection.
And remember, Elinor saw her looking ill, that greenish color, after Mary died.
Consistent with having just taken an emetic, right. And remember Nurse Hopkins complaining about a thorn prick from a thornless rose trellis? Much more likely a needle prick from injecting herself with the apomorphine.
It all fits perfectly. The thick identity, the knowledge of the parentage, encouraging the will, the access to drugs, the apomorphine.
The true killer is revealed. Not Elinor, it was Nurse Hopkins, Mary Riley Draper. Acting out of pure greed to steal Mary Gerrard's unexpected inheritance, she gave Mary the morphine, took the apomorphine herself after sharing the sandwiches, ensuring only Mary died.
The quiet, respectable district nurse.
Wow. Just goes to show. So inevitably, the jury finds Elinor Carlisle not guilty.
Justice served. Finally, after all that misdirection.
Painstakingly slow and a very roundabout route, but yes, justice is served.
So what does this incredible deep dive really leave us with? What does it mean for you listening? Well, in the aftermath, Elinor is released. Obviously, she's physically and emotionally shattered.
Completely drained. She needs to find a new life, solace somewhere.
And she finds it, perhaps unexpectedly, with Dr. Peter Lord. Remember, he had his doubts, but he still brought Poirot in, worked to prove her innocence.
Right. His quiet support becomes crucial for her. Eleanor reflects on that huge difference between thinking about murder, which she admits she did in a moment of hate.
And actually doing it. She insists, despite those dark thoughts, she didn't act on them. She pulled back.
And she finds healing, finds peace eventually with Peter Lord. His understanding, his steadiness helps her rebuild away from all the shadows of Hunterbury Hall.
So this deep dive really hammers home how these hidden truths, secret parents, hidden motives, can just completely change how we see guilt and innocence.
Mm-hmm. And it really underlines that unsettling idea, doesn't it? That sometimes the most dangerous people aren't the obvious villains, but the ones hiding behind this mask of, boring, everyday respectability. Like Nurse Hopkins.
Absolutely. Which leaves us with a final thought, something for you to maybe ponder.
When all the facts seem to point one way, to an obvious conclusion, how much deeper do we need to dig to find the real story? And maybe more importantly, what biases do we all carry that might stop us from seeing that less obvious, but often much more compelling truth hiding underneath?
Something to think about, for sure.